whether you know it or not, if you're on the YouTube platform or you're a YouTube creator, you know about something that we're going to be focusing on for a very long time called Team Seas, and you can visit them at teamseas.org. You donate $1, picks up 5 pieces of trash in the ocean, and if you donate $10, you can pick up over like 1,000,000 pieces of trash in the ocean. So with me, I'm going to be talking or interviewing my brother, who has been following marine science since he was a little baby. What would you say is mankind's biggest marine problem at this moment in time?
Well, there's a lot of them, and they've been changing over the years, but one of the hardest ones to overcome, especially as it gets bigger, is microplastics.
Explain more on that for us, please.
Well, microplastics are made whenever normal plastic just drifts into the water. And whenever it drifts into the water, some of it's able to stay at the top of the surface and others sink down. And even if they don't sink down, they're still going to start to dissolve. And once they start dissolving, they don't completely just filter through the environment. They stay as little tiny pieces of plastic, just even from a water bottle per se. But whenever they're that small, it's very hard to pick them up. And eventually fish end up eating these microplastics. And whenever they do eat these microplastics, it stays in their stomach and it just fills them up so they can't eat anymore and they end up dying. Or there's another thing that would happen. These fish end up being served as food at places in your own home, in restaurants, and eventually you're starting to eat pieces of plastic that were thrown themselves into the ocean at one point. And also, to continue on with this, for example, sea turtles, all of the sea turtles that they've found so far that have been dead, 100% of sea turtles have had plastic inside their system. So it seems like an inescapable trend among these kinds of animals, and a lot of different other kind of animals had these kind of problems too.
What can we as a community do to help?
Well, as a community, we could do what you always hear, clean up after yourselves, and also just try to limit your use of plastic, whether it's containers or water bottles or any other plastic means that you have. Try to recycle them, and it doesn't matter if you live on the beach, or if you live by a stream or a river, or even in the desert. Eventually, the plastic's going to roll over to the ocean due to the wind. So don't think that just because you're far away from a water source, don't think that makes you not guilty of littering.
Well, there you have it. Now you know exactly what the problem is here and why we need to resolve it. We don't want to be eating fish de plastique for dinner. So, as you can see right now, there's a lot of people doing these videos. I'm sure you're probably going to get thousands of them in your recommended. If it's now, if it's in 5 years, 10 years, let's just hope that we're not eating fish de plastique. Now, I'm going to put teamseas.org in the description and in the pinned comments, just so you know, for your information, so that you can donate $1, because $1 can do so much. If we see from Mr. Beast's past project, Team Trees, when I think his goal was 20 million trees, and we ended up going over 20 million trees, and they are still planting those trees. So, also, teamseas.org is going for nonprofits. So, there's actually two that are both working together to pick up all this trash in the ocean.